Splatoon 3 Splat Zones. Careful where you say that. Might cause some trouble. In short, without going on a massive rant, Splatoon 3's balance patches have made Splat Zones a bit more accessible. Whether this is healthy for the game or not, I wanted to see just how many specials are actually able to ink the zone in one use. So I tested all of them, and some of them might surprise you. Now before we start, I chose Crab Leg Capital as the stage for this challenge because it has one simple block in the middle and is fairly sized. There's a lot of zones in the game that are either way too tiny or way too big for like accurate measurements, and I felt like Crab Leg was a nice middle ground. And with that, let's begin. Starting off, unfortunately, with Trizuka, it may be good at getting random kills across the map, but this special is not good at painting for zone. If you manage to get 2 at once though, it will cap with that, so feel free to use that entirely common situation in an actual match. Next up is Big Bubbler, and you can tell just from how overjoyed the Inkling is that its zone paint is immaculate. Being real though, you're a Splattershot Junior, you could probably paint the zone on your own, and a bubble might help with that, just don't expect it to do it on its own. Zipcaster actually has 2 ways of painting the zone depending on the situation you're in. With a main weapon like Octorush, you can use it as an ink tank refill and then contest or cap the zone with that. But if you're in a pinch, or just have a main weapon that can't paint, or you want to go for style points, the zips themselves actually paint too. The trick here is to go across the ground at the most level angle possible, since not many know it, but a line is actually painted if you touch the ground while zipping. Using this, and the radius buff, thanks Nintendo, the zone caps with ease. Tenta missiles are a weird case, because Crab Leg Capital has grades above the zone, and since missiles come from above, they don't exactly hit the zone. So on Crab Leg Capital specifically, no, missiles cannot paint the zone. However, it is very possible in a real match that they help contest it with the pressure and paint they provide. So take it how you will. Inkstorm was honestly a surprising one for me. You'd think a special so associated with paint the map would actually paint the map, but alas, it does not cap the zone. Though of course if you're playing red pencil, you have pencil paint behind a wall. I'm pretty sure that paint's sufficient enough to get you through. Booyah Bomb returns from Splatoon 2, and while better designed than most of the specials in that game, is still one of the most common forms of zone cheese found in Splatoon 3. Luckily, it's not all at once, so you can paint over it and prevent the zone from even uncapping. But without being contested, it paints the zone with ease. Wavebreaker dominates with ease, business as usual, but this next special, oh boy does it deserve the word special. If I had a nickel for every time an underwhelming special got buffed in a mid-season patch to have a larger radius that ultimately gave it a niche in Splat Zones and only Splat Zones, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's funny that it happened twice. Ink Vac in theory should be easy. However, there is a caveat to Vac's strength in zones. It's gotta be filled for the radius to be maxed out, and with Crab Leg's moderately large zone, that's not capping without charge anytime soon. Luckily, there's one part about Crab Leg Capital that everyone forgets about. What's next to it. See, if we take a little jump to Hagglefish Market right below, you'll find a sponge, which, as we all know, greatly fills the ink vac meter. This allows, with perfect aim of course, to shoot from Hagglefish Market, super jump back to Crab Leg before it gets there, and watch as a fully charged vac shot precisely, yet perfectly, paints the zone. Next up is Killer Whale. Doesn't paint, but you know, maybe global range lasers that paint the area they go to is not the best idea to bring back. Just an idea, you know, I'm sure the devs will pull through with that one. Inkjet's another case, where you have 2 different ways to paint the zone depending on the situation. If you just got a wipe and need to prevent points from going down as fast as possible, you can actually use the exhaust to help you paint as well. But if you're trying to poke in an enemy team, it's probably safer to just use the shots and not put yourself in danger. Both work though. Next up's Hammer. You know it, the goat itself is of course going to get the job done. You even have time for a Hammer though if there's a charger spotting contesting the zone. It's kind of nice. People should start using this special. Trap Tank is our next special, and I'll be honest, this one's actually free. If you want a challenge, you can use only expo shots or go blind. The zone will still cap, and you will probably end up killing 3 people. Reef Slider's up next, and Tri-Strike's pretty simple, but less lenient than you'd think. You have to space them all out pretty evenly to cover all the parts of the zone, but after a few tries you'll get it down. Cooler's cooler, it don't need paint, enough said. Super Jump's another interesting case since it acts similar to missiles, where they have to come from above. though since they explode I thought they might reach below, so I tried to launch them anyway, unfortunately with no luck. Again though, on most zones you'll find chumps incredibly useful because if unpopped, they pain a lot and do a lot of damage, but if they get rushed, you can use them as cover and force a team fight at an advantage. Kraken's definitely the funniest special in this challenge because the first thought is, oh, it's Kraken, you're stuck in it, so it's an easy no, but it came pretty dang close. A lot more than I expected at least. Splatter Color Screen performs its role perfectly here. Its role being, of course, to do nothing but annoy you into thinking it might do something. The paint starts off so well, and then it just turns into, like, patches? I don't even know, man. This list is just to be deleted from the game. Last up is Triple Splashdown, and okay, but seriously, I did not expect the amount of effort needed to make this work to be this high. See, Splashdown has a property where the higher up you are, the larger the radius of the explosion is. And it just so happens that on ground level from a jump, the radius is barely, and I mean barely, too small. Meaning what you have to do is get on top of the crab leg grates, go through the grate, and as you go through the grate, activate the splashdown to get the largest possible radius. What I did not expect was to desync the splashdown. I did not know this was possible before doing it on accident, and the fists ended up spawning below the grate, on top of each other mind you, while I continued to splash down on top of the grate, resulting in only one circle of paint. This must mean the fists somehow spawned very slightly below you when using the splashdown, so they ended up hitting the ceiling cap for the grate, but I didn't. I don't know, weird things happen, and I don't ask. But with that, every special in Splatoon 3 has been put to the test. The specials that successfully painted the zone are Zepcaster, Booyah Bomb, Inkvac, Inkjet, Ultra Stamp, Crab Tank, Reef Slider, Triple Ink Strike, and Triple Splashdown. The other specials frankly being too irrelevant to mention. But with that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.